Oh, there are a lot of Krishna monks out there. Krishna.
If you're not comfortable, then you can use a chair. Just so you will okay, so today we're going to usually begin on page number 1. So page 1, this first part of the class is a recitation. So it's really nice that simply by reading these books, you can learn a completely new language. Sanskrit is the most ancient language on the planet, and it's been transliterated, so it makes it easy to pronounce the characters that we use. So we'll begin on page number 1, and we can try to sing it in this. Everybody there?
Hare Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So these are the two Sanskrit prayers just at the bottom. So in unison, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so welcome everybody. It's very special to be here with all of you, and especially that we're here together with opportunity to hear from Krishna. So Krishna is fully present here in this Bhagavad Gita, so we're also here with him. So we're studying the 4th chapter, and yesterday we finished off with text number 35. So today we'll begin on 36. You can find the page by looking at the middle of the book, and in the top of the middle of the book you can find the chapter and the text number. Okay, so we're gonna this part of the discussion or the class is also in unison. So we'll do the Sanskrit and the translation in unison. You have the big book, right? Which page is yours on? 262 for the big book. Okay? So, just to help, anybody new, we're reading the transliteration. C is pronounced CH. That's pretty much the difficult one there. Everything else, you'll pretty much get it. And let's try. Okay, so here we go in unison. Api ched asi papebhya sarvabhya papakritama sarvam jnana plavenaiva vrijjanam santarishyasi. Translation in unison. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Text 37. Yatai dhamsi samidhognir basma sat karute arjuna Jnanagni sarva karmani basma sat kurute tata. Translation in unison. As the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. Text 38. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram ihavidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati. Translation. In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And one who has achieved this enjoys the self within himself in due course of time. Text 39. Shraddhaval labate jnanam tatpara samyatendriya jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadigacchati. Translation. A faithful man who is absorbed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Text 40. Agyascha shraddhadhanascha sanshayatma vinashyati nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshayatmana. Translation. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. Text 41. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchina samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya. Therefore, one who has renounced the fruits of his action, whose doubts are destroyed by transcendental knowledge, and who is situated firmly in the self, is not bound by works, O conqueror of riches. 42. Tasmadajnana sambhutam hritstam jnanasinatmana chitvainam samshayam yogam atishtottishta bharata. Translation. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. So, every day we chant 11 verses, which means that in 3 months' time, we'll read the whole Gita, which is 700 verses. So I need to count how many that is. If you can help me, then it'll go faster. So we started 36, right? 1, 2. 2 more? Okay, so 4 more. Here we go. Chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Arjuna uvacha sanyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha samsyasi yachreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you asked me to renounce work, and then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Text 2. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasya Karav Obho Tayostu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. The Blessed Lord said, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of works. Text 3. Gyeya sa nitya sanyasi yo na dveshti na kankshati nirdvandvo hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Translation. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, liberated from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. And the final text, text 4. Sankhya yogo pritag bala pravadanti na pandita ekam apyastita samyag ubhayor vindate palam. Only the ignorant speak of karma yoga and devotional service as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. Okay. How was that? Was okay? Okay, everyone comfortable? You're comfortable? Okay. All right, here we go. So let's return back to text 36 of chapter 4. At this stage of the class, we usually go back and we start reading the purports. So the text which we vibrated and the translation, that is what was spoken by Krishna 5,000 years ago at the holy place of Kurukshetra. There's a battlefield. And if you look on the front of the book, you'll see there's Krishna and Arjuna on a chariot, and they're amidst, if you look in the background, there's kind of silhouetted warriors. There's like an elephant chariot or something. And you can see that they're in action. So this is knowledge which is meant to inform proper action in this battlefield-like material world. So let's look at text 36 and we'll read the translation and purport. That purport is from our teacher, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Purport is kind of a strange word. I had never heard of it. It means that the same content is presented from different angles of vision in a more elaborate manner. So the essence is maintained, but elucidated more for additional understanding. So Prabhupada would study extensively the commentaries from the previous teachers, which you see here on the wall. And with that, he would present these purports for his students to understand properly. So let's read chapter 4, text 36, translation and purport. Would you be able to get one more? Just have it ready with you. Have it ready with you. Have the mic ready with you. Have the mic ready with you. Okay, I may call on you. So here we go. Translation. Even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. Would you read the purport?
Purport. Proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence which goes on in the ocean of nescience. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nescience and sometimes as a blazing forest. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge, received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time the most sublime.
Right. So this material world is compared to which two examples? Battlefield. Ocean of nescience. Battlefield, ocean of nescience, and a blazing forest fire. So the example of the ocean is specifically discussed here. That is anybody a swimmer? You look like a swimmer. He's also a swimmer. So it doesn't matter how good of a swimmer you are, if you're literally put in the middle of the ocean, you're finished, isn't it? So the idea is that this material world is like that for us. And when we experience that helplessness of paddling and swimming and swimming and swimming and swimming, trying to be happy, trying to just survive, trying to just breathe, then there's a type of a helplessness that comes about. And that helplessness is an important impetus, or the futility, realizing the futility of swimming is an impetus to calling out for help. And that's essentially what we are trying to do, specifically with this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's a call to Krishna, and he listens. Just like You have your cell phone. If somebody calls you, and you have their number saved, you know who it is. These days, everybody, uses their phone all the time. So somebody calls you, you may not answer, but you know that they're calling. Similarly, Krishna knows. He knows each one of us, and he's waiting for the call, and he always answers. That's what makes him different. He's infinitely loving and appreciative, so he always answers. Now, how he answers depends on our level of sincerity, how the conversation goes, So, the analogy is given here. What is the boat? What is the boat from the verse? Krishna consciousness, okay. Specifically, from the verse translation. Right. She was on the right track. Transcendental knowledge. Exactly. So transcendental knowledge, this is the boat. So Prabhupada describes perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. And then you also said Krishna consciousness. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time the most sublime. We have a comment. Okay, so there's a Swami, he lives here upstairs. He'd like to give a comment. He usually tunes in. So you have to mute this.
We can hear you now, Maharaj. We can't hear you. Hold on. Oh, you're muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. You can hear me?
We can hear just a little song.
Wrong song?
I think we can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Very good. Okay. This verse speaks about sitting in the boat of transcendental knowledge, and we were discussing today this point among ourselves. And we were thinking how Krishna consciousness can be compared. If you take any particular religion or philosophy or study, a pursuit, or knowledge, or anything that you can put together, take the best of all of the things that you could find from all different sources, put them together, then it would be, then you compare that to the transcendental knowledge, you'll find that all the best things that you took from science and philosophy and everything will be in Krishna consciousness, and there'll be much more Bhagavad Gita. So this is a good reason to study Bhagavad Gita, because you get the knowledge of everywhere else you can get it, and you get much more that's not available elsewhere. Thank you.
Maharaj. So let's read text 37. Anyone like to read the translation? Okay. She got it.
Like the fire, the ashes. As the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, or Aruna, so does fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities.
We can read the purport too.
Perfect knowledge of self and superself and of their relationship is compared herein to fire. This fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities, but also all reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. There are many stages of reaction. Reaction in the making, reaction fructifying, and reaction already achieved, and reaction a priori. But knowledge of one constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and a post priori, are consumed in the Vestas, as stated. I am not entirely sure how to say that.
Blade, you want to do that Sanskrit part right there?
I'll try.
And you can pass it back.
Ube uhai vasya ete tarit yarmta sadva saduni.
One overcomes both the pious and impious interactions of work.
Thank you. So, further, different analogies given here. Right, we had the boat to cross over the ocean of miseries, and here we have the knowledge, right, compared to a fire which burns all the firewood to ashes. So the reactions of material activities are there for us. There's two different types which are discussed here. Can anybody identify the two different types of activities? Nice. Pious and impious. So pious means those activities which are righteous or good. Specifically, they're called karma. Karma means they're recommended in the scriptures. Means we should perform them. Karma is in the material sphere. The other is called vikarma, impious work, which is actually unrighteous work or impious work. This word pious, we may have heard it like Saint Pius, like I think there's like a school up the street called like St. Pius High School or something like that, right? And it means righteousness or goodness. So impious is actually called vikarma, which means those activities which are not recommended in the revealed scriptures for mankind. And there's many scriptures which are there. There's the Manu Samhita, which details how the human society should actually be orchestrated to promote souls to higher levels of consciousness rather than lower levels. So vikarma is actually impious work, and the result is actually more material anguish. Just like, in this body, I have a pain over here, or I have this over here, I got that disease over here, I got this money problem, that family problem, so many different things we may have in our life, which are actually a type of a suffering that we experience. Sufferings are of three types. They're called klesha. Klesha means suffering. So one is called adhyatmika klesha, which means it comes from my own mind or my own body. We have so many of those, isn't it? Yeah. Here's the mic.
I remember reading a little bit about this. One of the other ones is suffering from the material world around you, right?
Nice.
I can't remember the other one though, I don't.
Spiritual suffering? That's also there. That's on a high level though. This one is the material level that comes from karma. Karma is this. Right. So then, but what's interesting is that every action has consequences, but we're talking about that the concept which is being discussed is here, how to get free from the consequences. So this is the idea, is that impious work gives three results. One is suffering from our own mind and senses, suffering from the material world like hurricanes, tornadoes, famine, like that. And one is suffering from other living beings. There's like ticks. That's crazy. Just try to go for a walk and like a little bug is like eating you. Right. Right. Actually, that happened to one really nice lady that used to live here. She actually got Lyme disease, is major. Of course, she has transcendental knowledge. So her whole consciousness is on a different level. She's a cool artist too. Hladini Shakti Mataji. That actually happened to her. It's kind of funny. It's kind of strange you mention it. So, those are the activities, those are the results of impious activities, or vikarma, acting against the normal procedure given in the scriptures. Karma gives a different set of results: good birth, beauty, wealth, and good education. If you perform righteous work, you get beauty, wealth, good education, and good family line, good birth. Yeah. Mike.
So from impious activity comes these three reactions, these three sufferings?
Yes, impious activities.
Also from pious activities too, though, right? As long as the activities remain on the material platform, there's suffering, I thought.
Yes, but that we are always doing some mix here. Some mix is always there of, yeah, right. So this is the idea that there's three modes of material nature. One is ignorance, one is passion, and one is goodness. So we're doing acts, pious acts, which are more in goodness, but they're mixed with passion and some ignorance. Right? Because even the scriptures which say, as a human, you should do this procedures, you should give this charity, you should do this, it's mixed with a little bit of passion. Because there's some benefit for me I'm trying to get. So we have another comment. First step is to mute this, turn that one on, and then we're ready.
We're ready for you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. You can hear? Yeah. Okay. The idea of pious activities giving results that are undesirable, because it's something like this. You have an opportunity to go to someplace really wonderful, and it's something that the finest opportunity you've ever had. But you're at the airport, and they tell you that the city has called you. You have to sit in to a session that's coming up in a few weeks, and you have to receive some money that your family, not very much, but you're going to get some money from that. So you have to stay and be there for it. So as you miss the opportunity of going on this most important journey because of some kind of leftover business that you still had, or you had some open account that you didn't close up, and now there's some trouble, you have to go back, take care of that account. So the point is that even to be a good man or a good woman is not sufficient. One has to be on the transcendental platform. Then he's freed, all of his accounts are relinquished. He has no more responsibilities in this material world. He's free to go, and everyone gives him their blessings. Thank you.
Or should I give a recap of that? So, Maharaj was discussing. There's an example. Say getting a bad result from doing pious work is kind of like this example. He says, say you're going to go on the best place. You're going to go on a trip to the best place. You know, there's no other better place to go. And you get there and they tell you, actually, you can't go yet, you know, but we're going to like give you like a little stack of cash or something because, you know, it filled up or something. But we'll give you something in return. You can go later. So you miss out on doing the best thing, you know, and you get a little something, you know, which is a token, more or less. But you really want to go on the trip. So that's the same as missing the opportunity to be on the transcendental platform and go back to the spiritual world. If you look at all these paintings, you'll see these are actually windows into the spiritual world. And specifically the ones with like Radha and Krishna, you know, you can get a feeling that something very magical is happening there. And the devotees that are there, they're fully satisfied on the transcendental platform. And so getting to go to heaven on the material platform is a kind of a consolation prize. You did some good stuff, but you didn't actually close your accounts up. So you get to enjoy a beautiful body like a demigod, but you don't get to go back to the spiritual world. So that's the idea. So we're trying to be on the transcendental platform, which goes beyond good and bad reactions, right? So in the material universe, there's actually a system. There's a stack. There's the hellish planets, which are the lower planetary systems. And there, souls are, there's many hellish planets, and they're subjected to suffering. Then, by evolution of consciousness, they rise up into the animal species of life. And then each lifetime, they spend in a certain animal body. And then they go up and up and up and up through the species of life until they reach the human form again. And then they can act on their free will. So if they choose to act impiously, then they'll go back down. If they choose to act piously, then they'll rise up, but only materially. Soul prison. Nice. That's what it is. It's a soul prison. Karmic prison. Yes. That's what we're talking about. And it's heavy duty. And the only way to get out is with this knowledge. Right. So that's the idea. How to burn all of it all at once? It's not through, like, you know, some people, it's described in the scriptures, like to do, it's called prayashchitta. Actually, this is discussed at the beginning of the Nectar of Instruction. It speaks about prayashchitta and how prayashchitta is a term which means basically reconciliation. In some traditions, they say, okay, you've sinned, right? So now you better do these prayers. Okay, very nice. When it's transcendental, right, then it is working. But sometimes the prescription may be, okay, go and plant trees or give charity. What was that? Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, please do. So the idea is that by doing righteous work, you don't make up for doing sinful work. Rather, you have to end the whole business of material work altogether. So let's read the next text, and we'll see if Krishna describes a little bit more about this. Anybody want to read? We're text 38. You may have to click it on real quick.
So So we're doing the translation first.
Yeah, translation and purport.
In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has achieved this enjoys the self within himself in due course of time. When we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service. And when one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace within himself. In other words, this knowledge and peace are culminated in Krishna consciousness. That is the last word in the Bhagavad Gita.
Right. So let's read the next text in quick succession there.
A faithful man who is absorbed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by a faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna. One is called a faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness, he can attain the highest perfection. This faith is attained by the discharge of devotional service and by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which cleanses one's heart of all material dirt. Over and above this, one should control the senses. A person who is faithful to Krishna and who controls the senses can easily attain perfection in the knowledge of Krishna consciousness without delay.
Right, so in this we discussed that, or Prabhupada was discussing that there's some faith there, right? So a faithful man who's absorbed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. So the idea is that by just letting the mind and senses dictate to us, then it's hard to make progress in yoga. And without, and additionally, so that's one side of it, and then the other side is that by service to Krishna, or devotional service, and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then one attains faith, right? So I have faith in my senses. Rather, I have faith that following the dictation of my mind and senses will bring me happiness. And that's a normal thing. Right? It's totally normal. I like apples. So when I see an apple, I want to eat the apple, and I have a good feeling. I'm going to be happy when I eat the apple. Isn't it? So we're talking about it. I have faith that it's going to taste good. I'm going to get happiness. But I didn't see the karma. I'm not seeing that side of it. I'm not seeing that when I act in this material world, in the material plane, without Krishna consciousness, I have to get a reaction. It's going to bind me here, which means what? Another birth, another death, disease and old age, which are just around the corner. Right? So this is the idea. But by practicing devotional service and chanting Hare Krishna, you get faith. Right? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it was mentioned earlier, it was saying there's two paths that lead to the same result, and it was talking about studying the material world and studying transcendental knowledge. And that what you were just saying reminded me of that, because you were saying with faith you can achieve transcendental knowledge and whatnot, and perfection and spiritual knowledge. But it would that claim that science also can get you to like the same destination in a sense?
Very nice. Let's take a look at those verses. This will be the last thing we discuss. It's a nice point. That was at the beginning of the 5th chapter. Because Before this point in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also recommended renouncing the fruits of work. It's like you work, but without attachment to the result. And then he also said here, work in devotional service. So now Arjuna is saying, hey, which one is better? And he says, devotional service is better. But he did continue on text 4. He says, right, text 4, chapter 5, text 4. Only the ignorant speak of karma yoga and devotional service as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. Purport. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the super soul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the super soul. One process is to find the root of the tree, and next, to water the root. The real student of Sankhya philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then, in perfect knowledge, engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two, because the aim of both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate end say that the purposes of Sankhya and Karma Yoga are not the same, but one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes.
So science and spiritualism both lead to the root of all creation, or both trying to attain that knowledge, essentially.
They're both trying to attain that knowledge, if they're good scientists or good spiritualists.
Right.
There's also people in the name of science who aren't searching for the ultimate cause of everything. And there are also spiritualists, so-called spiritualists, who are also not searching for the ultimate cause of everything. But a good scientist is trying to find the cause. Like, a good scientist wants to know, well, why does the bluebird have a certain call at a certain time of year? Why does the migration pattern like this? Or what do these chemicals do to the body when applied in this manner? Or so many things, right? So they're finding causes. Similarly, the spiritualist is also interested in cause. Why am I suffering? Why do I have to die? Right? Why do I always want to be happy and I can't be happy against my will? Right? Why am I frustrated? So many why questions we can ask. There's a cause. We want to know a cause. So the idea is that a real spiritualist, real sincere spiritualist, is moving in the same direction as a real sincere scientist. The problem is when we don't follow the path, we don't apply ourselves well. Krishna uses that. He says in the Prabhupada makes that point in the translation. He makes sure that we understand it. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. So a scientist who doesn't give up finding the actual root, right? Then they will understand there is something that is maintaining the atom, right? There's a force which is actually spiritual, transcendental, which is maintaining the atom. That is the super soul. The super soul, Vishnu, he's within every single atom. Now, there was a process which is called Sankhya Yoga, which is very elaborately described in the Vedic scriptures. There used to be a class of scientists, and they were heavy-duty scientists, and they broke down the entire material world into 26 elements. So there's earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. Then there's also the senses. Right. Ultimately, that's spirit. So a scientist who doesn't come to all understanding that there's spirit there, then he's not much of a scientist. He didn't apply himself well. What was it? He will not know. Right. So this is the idea. And a scientist who follows that process, recognizes the soul, and doesn't get confused and misidentify himself with the Supreme Soul, but rather devotes himself, then he achieves the same result as the devotees who say, Krishna, God, Vishnu, right? That person, he's the source of everything. He's the ultimate cause. I'm his part and parcel. I'm one of his children. I should serve him. I should be a good, son or daughter and offer my love and appreciation. And I'll always be blissful. Always blissful on the spiritual platform by that process. So one does it right away. That's the one we like. Chant Hare Krishna. And the other one is a very long process, which is pretty difficult for us to do. Just like we were trying long time to get answers about this material world. Yeah.
Bhakti Yoga?
Bhakti Yoga means devotional service. That's the direct path. It's described like this. You can go through the different steps, but you got to climb the ladder. To perform the Sankhya Yoga properly, to be a real scientist of the material world, you got to be a major, you got to have some endurance. And, what was it? Literal yoga? That's also there, right. Now, if you want to take the elevator all the way to the top, then you can just do bhakti. Right. That means chant the holy names. Haribol. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. Downstairs there may be a small snack or dinner or something. So I invite everybody. We can kind of wrap up the class and head down, and we can go from there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.